Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Dynabraid, the first choice for abrasive power tools today and tomorrow. And by Custom Autosound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977.
At rockauto.com, you can find all the parts your car will ever need. And if you're looking for a starter or an alternator, FVP makes remanufactured units. And when we're talking about the remanufacturing process, Derek, what are we talking about? What are you guys doing to these before they leave your factory?
All high-wear components are replaced with new parts. And in some cases, we make enhancements to improve the performance of that product.
And so you're saying you can make it even better than the OE. So what are some of the things you can do to make it better than the original?
Voltage regulators, for example. In some cases, the factory voltage regulator isn't up to the task, has a very short life. We have an improved voltage regulator that we will install on that alternator.
You've improved on the original, but how do you know when it gets to my house it's going to work?
Triple testing, and that stands for before, during, and after. Before assembly begins, we test each individual component. During the assembly process, we test each subassembly. And then after the product is assembled, each unit goes onto a test bench to ensure that it works.
All right, what are the odds you have one for my vehicle?
We have a majority of the coverage for vehicles in operation in North America. Cars to light-duty trucks and even some medium-duty applications.
If you're looking for a starter or an alternator, find a remanufactured one from FVP. You can get them at rockauto.com. Reliably low prices on all the parts your car will ever need.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. We're talking about ATV and UTV service, and man, they live in a harsh environment. So let's start out with a little checklist here. You know, if you're gonna ride one of these things, this is kind of a basic list. Check your oil, your air filter, chain, all the levers. Make sure you're safe before you go out there and ride it. Now a little more detailed list over here. You can see I get down here to engine oil, and then I get down here to the final gear and differential. Couple different components on this bike. We're gonna stick with oil on this one. And you can see right here, we shot this thing with an infrared camera. It's about 280 degrees. They get hot and there's not a lot of oil in there. Len, you guys actually shot some footage as well. Walk us through this.
We did. We had this on the dyno and we were doing a bunch of test work with it, and you can see here the case is about 100+ degrees, but as we slide over and we jump on that oil, you see it get up to 180, which is, is normal to slightly elevated for this type of a machine since it's liquid cooled.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world, but they live in a harsh environment. How's AMSOIL going to help us out there?
Well, the thing that we've seen is common now with the OEMs is you're building these wide spreads on the viscosities. You're seeing 550s, you're seeing 050s, which we've just launched, 050. And what you have to do there is you got to be very careful when you're building that oil that you're using very high quality parts, if you will, because it has to move in very cold temperatures, but then it still has to protect in very hot temperatures. So it's the best of both worlds, and you have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get a good quality piece, which we've done.
And I just kind of, I've never seen 0 W50. That's absolutely a widespread of oil. I live down in Florida. I mean, there's different requirements for it than you up there in Minnesota. It's freezing up there, and they ride them all year long.
Yeah, that's correct. That product in particular, that would hold up very well in the Florida heat. No issues at all because we put it together right based on all the testing that we've done and all the research.
You want to learn more? Go to AMSOIL.com. You can get a package deal for these ATVs and UTVs. You don't have to make multiple trips to the parts store, or you can buy the individual oil and so many other products.
Now here's a first on Motorhead Garage and maybe anywhere on television. How about a 1964 Ford Ranchero racing in an autocross? It belongs to our Motorhead of the Week, Maiden Rock, Wisconsin's Steve Truax. Now the vehicle looks like a poster child for oversteer, but Steve tells me it's actually pretty well behaved. Now Steve also loves his off-roading, and he does it in his Nissan Xterra. He says he chose it back in 2015 because everybody else had a Jeep and he wanted to be different. Steve actually drove this Xterra 36 hours on the highway to get to the Rubicon Trail. He ran the Rubicon, then he drove the vehicle 36 hours back home. That thing can go anywhere, and that is cool. Hey, you can be like Steve. Be our Motorhead of the Week. All you have to do is send us a note at motorheadgarage.tv and tell us why you're deserving of that honor. MotorheadGarage.tv is also the place to go in case you want to tell us about a product you might have you want to feature on the show. We're going to do this once again next week. We hope you join us then. From our whole crew here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. We'll see you next time. Drive safely in the meantime.